Oh, hello. Can you hear me okay? I can hear you now, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you. I
Yes.
couldn't
Can
hear
hear
you
you.
before. Yes, I can hear you now. All good. All right. Now I think we are live streaming. I hope it still streams, even though I shut the browser, but otherwise we'll have a bunch of feedback. Good to see you. Hello, my friend. Let's see here. Great. Thank you for joining, Sarah. And Angie's no tickers here. She'll be here shortly. She was in our previous call as well. Hopefully you can hear me all right. I'm gonna turn on my AI companion. Hello, good to see you. Hello. All right, I should probably blur my background so people don't end up. Oh dear. Oh, there we go. That's a little better. It's just us friends, but still. All right. Very cool. Well, I am coming to you live from Australia, Sydney, Australia. It is 7 o'clock. I'm calling you from the future. Everything looks great. We'll give everyone a few minutes to join in. It's a beautiful day. It's been raining all week here in Sydney. We had a really nice day on my day. The day I did my keynote was a beautiful day. And then it rained again. But today, which is our one day off in the city, because my last session was yesterday, uh, it looks beautiful so far. So fingers crossed that that stays. We're gonna go. I'm hoping to go to the zoo. Andrea, good to see you. All right, everyone. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started with just some updates because everyone can catch those updates on the replay. First of all, thank you everyone for joining us. If you are listening and are coming listening to us on a platform like LinkedIn or YouTube or Facebook, you can join us live by heading over. Hello again. By heading over to our school platform. It's just skool.com/iHeartAI, and you can get access to the link once you join our community. Great to see you, Laura. Thank you for saying hi. Very excited to be here. Like I said, I'm coming to you live from Sydney, Australia, where I have been having an extremely fun amount of time talking to different companies and communities here. The event that I came here for is South by Southwest Sydney. It is the second annual event in Sydney to create a little bit more accessibility for people in the Asia Pac area of the world, as opposed to forcing everyone in the world to fly to Austin. This is the only other kind of sanctioned South by Southwest grandiose event. There are some other satellite South by Southwest organizations, but this one is identified and coordinated directly with South by. So I'm happy to support it. I supported them last year. Happy to have supported this year. On Monday, though, I got a chance to, if you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen I got a chance to speak at Macquarie Asset Management. They had a huge global summit for their business, both their business development people, their client services people, really every individual worker in the asset management space. And that was really fun. So I got to do a keynote for them and then open it up for Q&A. I then got a chance to talk to them. They did a really fun thing, like, when it comes to building community inside companies, I've just watched organizations really struggle with it. But they did really cool. They brought in, of course, some external speakers. Myself, of course, I'm responsible AI, but they also brought in a longevity expert, which was really fun. And they, of course, heard from some of the leaders and the updates that they had. But then after we all did our talk, which was really the smallest portion of the day, they then had pinball machines and arcade machines and old fashioned, like, games and all sorts of stuff, foosball tables. It was really fun. So everyone got to hang out, eat good food. I was a little bit, I guess, pleasantly surprised that there was rosé available at this work function in really the middle of the day. I was like, all right, let's go. So that was really fun. So that's how I spent. I think I landed on Monday. We recovered from our jet lag, and then on Tuesday I went and hung out with the Macquarie Asset Management team. On Wednesday, I got a chance to be on a podcast, which you'll see coming out shortly. I also got a chance to be interviewed for a couple of articles that'll be published out of Australia. On Thursday was my keynote. I also did a podcast episode called, darn, I can't remember. You know, Noel. So many things, so many things. It was like disruptive thinking or something like that. But it basically was like, it was the context of it. How do you make sure, how do you become a person that doesn't necessarily sit inside the box that they're given? There is a certain characteristic in very successful people that we tend to play against the rules a little bit. We tend to push the envelope of what's acceptable and possible. And so I certainly am one of those people that tends to push the envelope, which makes me a really great entrepreneur and sometimes a really great employee. Sometimes it depends on my leadership. Great to see you. Hello, what's up? Awesome. Mark is in the house. Um, so that was super fun. And then so that was Wednesday. Thursday, I did my keynote here in Sydney. It was really fun. I had a great time. So last year I had a room, I think it sat about 250 people, and there was about 500 people who were standing outside who could not get into my session last year. And so this year I got a much bigger room, 800 people. And people were all queued up. So my husband took all these really nice videos of people queued up to come in. I was very worried when I walked into that room. I'm like, I hope people come. But they did. And a lot of people said that they actually came early to ensure that they didn't get locked out like they did last year. So that was really fun as well. I'm a big fan of the innovation space here in Australia. I met a woman after my keynote. Her name's Annie. She started what's called the AI Build Club, which I'm a big fan of. She does hackathons. They have about 15 different build clubs all over the world. Really fun because she and I both agree that the best way to teach people AI is by building AI. However, her audience is much more technical. So it's kind of like those people that are already in data engineering roles or cloud engineering roles and helping them move into the world of AI. Well, I'm much more interested in everyone else. Like, I really do think that the more diverse experiences we get into this space, and most people don't realize how much building they can do with just their voice and just their ability to think clearly about a problem and ask a machine to help them solve it. So that was Thursday. Friday, I mean, of course, my keynote was fun. Oh, I did launch my book. I don't know, some of you may have seen it, but my book went out for pre-order. So it's called Scaling Responsible AI. I was live on Wednesday night with a bunch of people for the AI Solutions Architect webinar series that I do every Wednesday. And I went and Googled my book to show them on Amazon. And I found out, surprisingly, that it's actually on Target's website. So I've like officially arrived when you are in the Target website. Oh, so it's very exciting for me. I like lost it right in the middle live. I was like, oh my God, it's on Target. So that's kind of cool. Always Google yourself. You'll be surprised where you show. So that was really fun. So yeah, so that book, my pre-launch is out. You can go and pre-order the book, but don't worry, if you're in my community, of course, you all will get early access to the digital copy. I love, I highly value your feedback specifically because you know me, you know my intent. So once the book comes out of the last round of editing, which we're in right now, I'll share that with all of you all, of course, free. And if you want a book signed or something, of course, I'm happy to do that. But right now, I'm just happy to see it on a website with the logo, published by Wiley, like very exciting stuff. So that happened on Monday, but I announced it on stage, and that was a really exciting moment for me. One of those moments you think and remember, and you're like, oh, I launched my book. It's outside. Very cool. But yesterday, which was Friday my time, yesterday I got a chance to be on a panel with some of the experts at the Dove beauty brand, Unilever, and then also a woman named Taryn Brumfitt. She runs a company called the Embrace Collective, and it's all about positive body image in the world of AI. And I never really thought about it this way. I mean, I'm definitely very bullish on AI. I'm very optimistic about AI. But I don't know what they were expecting because they know me. But anyway, the title of it was Weapons of Mass Perfection, How AI and Beauty, like, how is this story going to turn out? And I think they were probably a bit pessimistic. I think that was the direction that they were thinking, like AI is destroying beauty and destroying young women and their perception of beauty. And I, of course, you know me, like fruit basket turned it over and was like, well, I actually think in a world where we train AI by using AI, and in a world where we educate people on how these models work, I mean, the model, yes, is currently trained on data from from 2000 and, well, the 2000s. And most of the internet's data back then, like if you think about what beauty was, well, actually, if you ask an LLM, it'll tell you what it thinks beauty was over the last 30 years. And it'll say, beautiful woman is a blonde hair, brown eyed, olive skinned person. Um, and which I thought was pretty interesting. It's but it's not, of course, true. There's lots of different like forms of beauty. I don't have blonde hair. I'd like to think I'm pretty. And I think it's really interesting that the research showed that over the last, not only do these LLMs perpetuate this false sense of beauty, but that the beauty that they are aggregating isn't actually real either. It's based on photoshopped, right? Like really synthesized images from 20 years ago. So even the synthesized images are based on synthesized images. So now our perception of reality, especially for young kids, like is not real at all. There's nothing real about the images that come out of this. And most of us who are creatives, we know this. Like when we see an AI generated image, we kind of instantly have this instinct of like, yeah, that's not real. But kids don't have that. Like they're being raised in this AI native world where they look at that and they actually think there's something wrong with them. So there was a study done in Australia, and I think this might surprise some of you, that in this study, which I just think is mind blowing, that women were willing to give up a year of their life, in order to become more beautiful in the sense of like a filter that they see on like 38% of women said they'd give up 5 years of their life, 5 years of memories with their kids, taking, like I just couldn't believe it. Like all the things that you give up by sacrificing your life just to be perceivably prettier, and that prettier standard is against completely fiction, like not true things, like that, a synthesized world. And so while it was bad 20 years ago when we all thought we wanted to be Twiggy or this super thin supermodel look, and we were using magazines to kind of give us that imagery, now we see it. It's not just in magazines that we buy. It's in everything, right? All the content we build has it. So I had this revelation, right? We're talking about, I do think it could, obviously AI can always be used as a weapon of mass perfection. Like everyone now can't imagine themselves being on a Zoom call without a filter, or without, being on Instagram without a filter or a lens. And if you look at the new iPhone, I mean, really the new iPhone has all sorts of AI built into the camera without you don't really have it. You're not even opting in now. You're not choosing a filter. It automatically smooths your lines and smooths your blemishes, and in my case removes my freckles, which is a huge part. I mean, even now I'm like I have more freckles than you can see. I don't know why. I don't think I have any kind of smoothing thing on right now, but maybe it happens when I blur my background. I don't know, but I've noticed these things, like these AI systems are now presuming that we would prefer to be smoothed over, that we'd prefer to have a little augmentation. And what does that say about us? Like, well, that we're, I remember a study with 82% of women that were surveyed, when they look at themselves, they're not happy with what they see. And that's, I don't know, kind of heartbreaking. Like that we instantly think that we're not good enough against what, like, where did we even get that idea that what we see isn't good? Oh, we get it from media, we get it from social, we get it from Facebook, we get it from magazines, media, I mean, all the things. So as a bot builder, as someone who is now going out and teaching a bunch of people how to build bots, I was happy to find out that Dove created a prompt guide. And I actually had it in the last call, but I'll share with you all. They created a prompt guide, and it's really just a series of activities of showing you what you'd have to do to an LLM to get it to actually generate real beauty, like wrinkles and freckles and Afro-Latina hair and silver streaks for those of us who passed an age where all of our hair is one color. Like none of that a model knows how to do. It's kind of like an example we used was bananas. If you ask a model with no training whatsoever to give you one single banana, it doesn't understand the concept of a single banana because bananas are only ever seen in bunches. So it struggles to ever give you a single banana, like, because it's like, no, no, no. I mean, the world sees that as bunches. And that's kind of like the same. It has no concept of women without makeup, no concept of women, like it's just because all the data we fed it were these photoshopped, super heavily makeuped and blemish free and wrinkle free images of women that the model has no choice but to believe that that is the truth. So this prompt guide, what we're going to start doing is actually integrating these prompts right into our bot builder workshop, which I'm excited about. We're delivering one coming up this week, actually, the 22nd and 23rd of this week. We're doing another bot builder workshop. And but we're going to use the prompt guide at the end of that workshop just to get some experience. If you're building any content whatsoever and there's a human in it that's generated by a machine, I think these prompts will help you make sure that imagery is realistic and that we, I don't know, extend to the world a level of awareness and acceptance. That was the one thing I got out of that whole session, was like, we're not really accepting of who we are and what we look like. And I think that's kind of sad. And I don't want my children to be raised in a situation where they're 7 years old and thinking that they're not beautiful. And so one of the main themes that Taryn had mentioned, she was actually Entrepreneur of the Year in 2023. Australian of the Year, even better, like of all Australian of the Year in 2023. She had said, the least important thing about us is what we look like. Like, it's the least important thing. And I couldn't agree more. Like, there's so much more value in what's in our brain, what's in our heart, what's in our intention, what's in our lived experience. Like, what we look like is the least important thing, but that is not, of course, the way society is going right now. So if I can help when we build bots to teach people that you also have a responsibility to kind of normalize human appearance beyond what we've seen, that was really, I mean, of course, my keynote was great and my podcasts were fun, but that was really like, I walked out of there like, I need to change what I'm doing. Like, I need to talk to people about this. I was really sad to see how much research was done and how many people, women and men alike, were just generally discontented with their appearance, like just generally, that they weren't living up to some bar that they had made in their mind. And I was like, gosh, that stinks. Because you know, much better we'd all feel if we were just happy with the way we are and the way we looked. I think it could change the world all by itself. So really, really cool stuff. But yeah, so that, and of course, Dove has published all its studies. Let me see here if I can, I'll try and find it a really quick. Yes, let's see. Oh, the age group of women surveyed. Yeah. Actually, it wasn't under 30. I think it was like 25 to 45, I believe was the range. But you can definitely look at the study. And they did multiple studies. They did studies for young girls, so middle school to high school. They did another one for young adults, high school to 28-ish. And then they did a 25 to 45 studies. I mean, the cool thing about the work that I, again, wasn't really aware of, or maybe hyper aware of until yesterday, was that Dove's been doing these beauty studies and perception studies for decades. Like, they started their authentic, I think they call it Real Beauty, their Real Beauty campaign, like 15 years ago, when they noticed the impact social media was having on young women. And I love that. I mean, I've always loved Dove for that reason. But obviously they're selling a product, so there's that whole capitalist part of the world. But they do quite a lot of research in that space. So it's really interesting, and that unintentionally we're amplifying really bad. Obviously an LLM will amplify stereotypes. That's its job. So I think, yeah, there's a great word. Great, yeah, of course. Come on in, Mark. Say hello.
Hello. Yeah, Dove was the one that was notoriously, they came out with that self-esteem project, if you remember a few years ago, where people would even see themselves and basically people don't see themselves the way others do. So they had a group of people rate them and then rate themselves. And we always found that people voted themselves much less attractive, less charismatic, less confident than others did, which was amazing. And now they have, if you I just hit send, the campaigns, they have like a male masculinity, positive masculinity. They have kids ones, they have all kinds of things. And I just think it's really interesting because just today, ironically, on my social media feed was this app where you can take any photo as a man and it immediately gives you a tan and like abs. And I was like, Jesus, they made it easy. Literally. And you can literally put like, oh, I want to gain 10 pounds of muscle, and it just like changes your
Oh
body and your
my
face.
gosh.
Like, geez, that's creepy. You know, people are going to catfish the hell out of each other using
Yeah,
AI. It's really sad.
exactly. Like
Yeah.
authenticity, and we're normalizing it like as if it's a bonus, a perk, a benefit. You'll pay for that. And now you don't have to actually do the real work. Like, I don't know. But I feel like it just amplifies this acceptance challenge, like not accepting who we are and what we are at the whatever stage we're at. And this is what I always say, like our tech is getting better and better, but we actually need, a better humanity. Like our humanity has to get stronger in the face of this type of, yeah, authentic intelligence. Absolutely. Who was that? Someone in here created something around authentic intelligence. Was it Steve Pullum? I can't remember. Um, yeah, I feel like he did it. But anyway, I agree with you. Yes, we need to really, and in my effort to educate everyone on like how to use your words to build a machine, I'm like, why can't I like slide this in there? That's literally where my mind was at yesterday. I'm like, I should just slide in body positive acceptance type prompting into every bot builder workshop, no matter who I'm talking to, because the world desperately needs it. It's really sad when you think about it. If somebody looks and instantly thinks they need to apply a filter to be better, and I'm the same. Like I get off stages and I will. It's why I take my husband because I'll look at him and be like, "It was okay," and he's like, "Yeah, it was okay." But every time I'm always like downplaying like in my mind, I'm like, I was awful. I only see what I messed up. I only see the story I didn't tell or the loop I didn't close. And in a world where AI will amplify whatever it is, like I think it's really important, especially for young people, that we instill in them a level of self-acceptance. And I mean ambition, right? Like it's not, I think that these things are held in tension. I'm not saying like, hey, just let yourself go and just be okay being unhealthy and having unhealthy habits. But I think there's a lot to be said about just self awareness and self acceptance, especially in the world of AI, which will now tell you could use to gain a few pounds or lose a few pounds or have a little less freckles or a little less lines. Like, well, what are we doing? Like, I just watched a woman who's probably 20 years older than me get a bunch of work done on her face. And I was like, I prefer having a role model that's not doing that. I prefer a role model that's like, it's okay to go gray and it's okay to like, and I don't see a lot of that right now. Oh, good. Matt got to join us. Awesome. Great to see Matt. Wasn't sure you make it.
Yeah,
Amazing.
neither was I. It's Friday. What is it? A Friday meeting carousel, and so it was just back to back to back, and you know how that goes.
Happy Friday.
Yeah, yeah. Happy for somebody.
Yeah. You're delivering value. That's all.
Yeah, right.
But yes, I was just recapping the whole week. So today actually is a beautiful day in Australia. But it's been raining all week, so I'm very excited. Today we're gonna try and go to the zoo. My husband hopefully is still sleeping. I started my morning around 4:30. I had a panel prep call and then and so we have an AI Leadership Institute kind of coaching call that happens before this for the members of the community. And of course, I talked for a lot because I had a lot going on this week, so I coached myself mostly. But then this is my last like work call for the day. It's about 7:30 here in Australia, and then then we're gonna go to the zoo. I hope it stays nice. It's been raining all week. But one of the things which I'm just gonna tell anybody who's gonna do events. So I got a swag bag. It was like one of those, when you go to like the Oscars. I mean, not that I've ever been, but I've seen the stuff. You get this huge bag full of all of the sponsors' products. And as a speaker, I usually get a speaker gift, but this one was probably by far the best speaker gift I've ever gotten. So I got like, there were Bluetooth headphones and a bunch of products. Of course, Dove was there. So Dove products, like microphones, all sorts of stuff. Really, really cool. And so there's probably 45 things in this bag. And we now have to go get a suitcase, like fly it all home. Okay, and I went shopping. So I got a new sweatshirt. This is my new sweatshirt from South by. It's so cool.
Rock
They
on.
every year they get an indigenous artist to create one of the t-shirts. This is one of the designs, but I got another t-shirt. I'll probably wear it next week. but I really like it because the indigenous artist creates the design. It's of course branded South by Southwest, and then the artist of course tags the art with their name, and it's just so cool. Like I love that idea. One of the challenges I ran into, which is a South by problem, I think, but at South by
Mhm.
Southwest, they wanted to democratize sessions, right? Like get people by the people for the people, right? So if you
Mhm.
ever tried to speak at South by, there's like a panel picker concept, and you build your panel and then you send it out to people. But what I've uncovered, which I'm a little bit unnerved about, is that it is a bit of a popularity contest, right? Because it's like, who do you know? Who's in your network? How can you promote this? And I realize now, looking back, like the people who get picked tend to already be popular people. And when I first got invited to participate in South by Southwest like years ago, I was speaking on autonomous driving before it was like, you know, what it is now. It wasn't really
Heck
readily
yeah, that's
available.
awesome.
We weren't selling it. We were actually talking about the 25th hour, what happens when we actually let go of the wheel and we get an extra hour in our day because we're just sitting in a car mindlessly. Um, Anyway, it was a very cool session, but I remember at that time, like the reason I liked it was because the people that we brought together were people that you wouldn't normally have heard about. They were doing good work, they
Mhm.
were researchers, they were professionals in their space, they were very popular and they're like you, but nobody would have voted for them because you wouldn't have known who they were. Like it was
Yeah.
elevating voices across all these different characteristics that you normally wouldn't see. And but I feel like over time, now it's very much a popularity contest. Like it's if you know people and you can get people to vote for your panel, like you'll get picked. The featured
Oh
sessions are a
yeah.
little different, but I don't know. I'd love your perspective because I was like, how do I get unheard voices on these stages?
Well, it's the same thing you commented on last week, right? Where I believe, and to paraphrase your comment, it's not the most knowledgeable about artificial intelligence
Mm,
that are speaking right now. It's just the
right,
loudest, right?
right.
You know, your
You're
your
right.
Instagram influencers that, do your search engine optimization, that, get to the top of that feed and get the likes. Um, yeah, that's an interesting. I don't know. How about we put all the names in a hat and just kind of Monte Carlo it?
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, here you go. You want to
Wouldn't that
talk?
be
Go
awesome?
ahead, start talking.
And then, yeah,
But
then the burden's on us to give them like speaker training and make sure they're awesome. But even now, even the popular ones are not awesome. So I'm like, that's not really my concern is just, yeah, like right now, it feels like high school, honestly. Like if you're in the cool
well,
clique, like you're gonna get
Well, it
voted
and
for.
reminds
remember,
me of, sorry, I was just
oh,
going to say,
sorry.
it reminds me of the last 3 years of Web3, right? And a lot of the people who are speaking about Web3 and crypto and NFTs and whatever are just the ones who have gotten on the speaking circuit and
Yeah,
networking. And honestly, many of them have like a bunch of bullshit projects that went out of business, and
yeah,
Facts,
their followers
facts.
are all bots and everything else. And I'm like, oh, come on now, But I like the idea of maybe having two different groups. You've got a certain number of them who are more well known, and then a
yep,
certain number that are literally thrown in a pot, and you say, you now have the obligation to do your research because we're going to pick 12 people from
Mhm.
this group. So
yeah, like a
do get to
lottery
know who they are and
almost.
then vote for them.
I
Yeah.
love it. Yeah. So I feel like, I mean, and I think this is what happens like the evolution of a thing. Like in the beginning, that was fine because the people who were, everyone was invited and there were a lot of
Mhm.
sessions, but now they're getting 3 to 5,000 submissions for 200 spots and they're giving it to the internet to vote. I'm just like, no, this is not going to work
Yeah,
out.
I know. Next thing you know, Bodie McBoatface is going to be speaking. But but keep in mind though, like remember, or South by Southwest, is not a nonprofit organization, right? They're there to make
Yep,
money,
yep,
and so if what you're seeing is any indication, it sounds to me like about E3 about 5 years before the pandemic. Like no one
yep.
goes to E3 anymore, right? And CES out, I think they're still in Vegas or they may have moved to
They are,
LA,
yep.
right? Like, I mean, CES, I just got an email like, hey, please get your ticket, pretty please.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like, I think that the what is it? That stream of thought that you're kind of projecting of like, it's just the same people and we're seeing the same things.
yep.
Yeah. Like, I mean, because with me, I mean, do you want me to share a bit about my personal journey with trying to
Yeah,
speak?
yeah. That'd be great.
So yeah, so with me, like I'm small time, right? I got my little LLC on the side or whatever, and I'm just an autodidactic AI developer, right? Like I've taught myself. Well, help of Dr. YouTube and Professor Google. So, you know, I had to lobby my butt off. I had to reach out to the organizer via social media. I had to go, you know, just to host a roundtable at GovAI, you know. So, I mean, like, I feel you that it's like it's very, very hard to get a spot. But then also there's the other side of like, well, put in the work, you know, like, you know, no one's going to build you for you, right? Like you have to tend your own garden. And so, but I think there's a little middle ground, but I
Yeah,
do
yeah, I
agree
agree.
that it's indicative of South by Southwest that from where I stand, like, I mean, South by Southwest, what started in Austin, right? Like 30 some years ago.
Yeah.
And now like you're in Sydney. I think they have one in London. I mean, it's
Yeah,
kind of a
they're kind of doing the
self-perpetuating
TEDx
cash machine.
kind of thing, right? Where they are satelliting it
Yeah.
out. But yeah, it just, you know, like, I don't know, I felt like South by's original vibe was this like
Hmm. It's
ground up
indie. Yeah.
grassroots indie. Yeah, and it definitely doesn't feel super indie anymore. But like I said, well, you know, I see these things, but I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, and you know, see what I can do, if nothing else, to like build panels that elevate, you know, these types of voices. One of the things in the AI Leadership Institute, I announced that I was interested in doing by the end of the year is creating an AI Leadership Institute like awards program, like AI Leadership Institute awards, where we identify leaders, but unsung leaders, like leaders that
Oh
are
yeah, good
that
for
I
you.
know, that I hear. Yeah, I mean, I've always wanted to do it, but it's hard, as you know. But I'm like, done is better than perfect. This is like my new mantra, because my book taught me this. Like, for goodness sakes, just get it out the door.
Well,
Like, you can fix it in V2.
do you know do you know the perfect place to hand out those awards?
I would imagine. No, tell me.
The
South by
iHeart AI
Southwest.
conference.
Oh, of course. You know, and I should get Pete Erickson to help me build that thing, because he's so good at events and I hate events. I love
Do it.
being there and speaking. That's a good idea.
Let
Do
me
it.
know. I'll
We,
roll up my sleeves. I've been producing events
100%.
for
We
30
are about
years.
to hit
Trust me.
1,000 people in our community, by the way.
Wow.
And like I said, and right now it's all grassroots, which is kind of exciting. We don't do, you know, I haven't done any real marketing other than me being on stage. But I have an idea to do it. Like, I have a whole
Yeah.
sequence, a funnel, if you will, like to be like, no, everyone needs to learn this. But right now I'm just like, I want to create, you know, I want the community to be pretty well established before we start welcoming in the world.
Hmm.
And I do reject people all the time. Okay, let me look at this. Oh, what was that link that someone threw in? What'd you put in there?
Oh,
Matt?
sorry. So this was I put it out on the community board, I think like a week or two ago. It was the OpenAI O1 model,
Oh yeah, yeah.
Strawberry. Yeah,
Cool.
so that's the recording of, you know, and look, if you guys click on that link, all right, 75% of that thing is advertising for OpenAI. Let's just be real about it. But there's some nuggets in there as to especially what Mini can do regarding mathematical calculations and coding that are just brilliant. This is the model that I used to create my latest app, which helps people learn to read. It's called Memazine. So yeah, really good, really like it's sharp, man. Like that's where all those billions of dollars of fundraising went, you know. So,
Yeah, yeah.
so
Awesome. I
yeah.
love it. That's great.
Hmm. But yeah,
And
just
you're
put it
right,
out
because
there for the
sometimes
group.
in the in the feed, you know, things get lost in the feed. So I really appreciate you putting this back out there.
Yeah,
And of
totally.
course, there is the whole. Is this on their website? Is it hosted on YouTube? Do you know? I was just looking at the
No, no,
website.
no. It's OpenAI's thing. It's on HubSpot. So
Oh, I see.
shoot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. No, I
You
was
know,
just
let me.
oopsie.
Yeah, it's on OpenAI. It's in OpenAI's website.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if it was embedded, because then we can get, you know, like YouTube's really good about transcripts, and anyway, there's a bunch of cool stuff that we
I
can, so you can
know,
actually,
right?
you
Yeah.
know, pull out all the prompts
No,
without
I
having to
don't think
watch the
so.
nonsense. But that's fine.
Oh,
That's good.
speaking of, I saw this handy guide and I meant to pull it, and I'll run across it again.
Cool.
There's now like I think 70 or 75 actual like prompts to help with prompt engineering. You know, the prompts to engineer the final prompt to get you what you actually wanted to prompt in the first place.
Yep.
That stuff. So once I find it, I'll put it back up in the community.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. Okay.
and
I'm
yeah,
gonna throw in the, oh my gosh, copy link address. I hope this works. Let me put it. browser and test it first. Oh yeah, it works.
Two
I think it's
models.
going right to download something. This might be creepy for people, but it's on Unilever.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is it?
Oh no,
Asset
I'm talking about
Unilever?
this is the
Yep,
read and
it's right
play
to the
book.
PDF.
Yeah, so some of you might be like, I don't want to, like, how do I know that's the right thing? I'm presuming it is. I found it on Google. I
It
mean,
is.
if it's on Google, it has to be right.
N-
I'm gonna see if this. I think it's Keep Beauty Real is the website that actually surfaces it out.
The
Let me
playbook.
see. Let's see if it's in here. Yes, I found it. Okay, cool. So this is actually the website that hosts that PDF file. For those of you, so yeah, and this is the realization I made. Is like as we start building better prompts, like why not layer in these like prompt philosophies that might help humanity?
Mhm.
Why not do that? That's my belief. So this is
Yeah.
really cool. Yeah, and one of the things that I've uncovered. There's another resource. Actually, I think I put it in our community somewhere. But it's a prompt guide that started very humbly with about 7 or 8 engineers, and now it's very big. It's on GitHub. Actually, I think they might have evolved it to its own website, but I'm going to go and I might have to log into it, but I'll share it with you all so you can see what that looks like. Oh, I don't know how this is going to work. Hold on. I need to find my multi-factor authentication for.
Oh my God. Hey, does anyone here ever run into like they have different apps for MFAs? Like, because I have one thing I do that deals specifically with like, Windows Authentic or Microsoft Authenticator. And then I have another thing that I do that deals with the Google Authenticator.
Yes,
And now I just started this new contract, and apparently there's this company called RSA that built their own
oh yeah,
authenticator. So,
for sure.
oh, you've heard about them?
RSA, yeah, they're very big, and yes, they're a big security company.
No, go for it. Go figure.
Is it a government contract or someone related to
It
like?
is. It is.
Yeah,
It's
that's
my
why.
DoD thing. So it's like,
Makes
yeah,
sense. So
okay.
yeah, so they're like on in the government side, but they're very reputable in that space. But so I went to Sonos like a
hmm
month ago, and I was the keynote there. But Sonos is the association that protects phone numbers and uses phone numbers as identification, and they're tied in with the FCC and FTC and all these organizations.
Cool.
But what I learned there, or not really learned, but what reaffirmed for me is that your phone number, because of the regulation that's gone into the FTC and FCC around phone numbers and identity, is that is a really great centralized place that is very difficult to spoof now based on the network control that the government
Huh.
has put in place. So I've started, to your point, shifting all of my authentication. I still have a bunch in Microsoft Authenticator, but anytime I can and I remember, I go and shift it over to using my phone number instead. Now, granted, I'm also now of the mindset of keeping the same number forever, where I wasn't that person before. I would always change my number. Every time I went into a new state, I'd change my number, and I moved all the time because I always
Mhm.
wanted a local number. But now I realize like there's a lot of value in just having my phone number. It goes direct to me. It's easy to identify and track. Yeah. So and that there's all this regulation around how our networks are preserved, which I didn't really think about. I mean, there's a lot of AI, for example, that goes into um, authentication via telephony, and I didn't really know that. So I'm
That's pretty
gonna,
cool.
yeah, it's pretty cool. So we're thinking about just to simplify, because to your point, like I have all of these apps, and worst scenario is when, for example, I can't remember what happened, but my phone got
hmm
stuck and I could not open it, so I had to re-image it. And when I brought it up,
Ugh.
it was gone. All of the apps that were in my authentication, they were like, "Well, go figure it out. What are your recovery codes?" I'm like, I don't know. And then in order to get out of MFA, you have to like talk to support and create an entire sequence of nonsense. I was like, this is awful. This is awful. So I'm curious if anyone is using what I would call like multitask orchestration or like AI orchestration type tooling, or like are you stringing together use cases with AI today,
Yes.
and what platform are you using to do that?
Yep.
Just curious. I mean,
Well,
I have
Oh,
my own, but I want to know what you guys are doing.
I'm using well, you already know, I'm using the early AI Mystic, which will be available soon.
Great.
And I want to give
That
it,
was
and
not
we
a
want to give,
plug, by the way.
no, we want to give everybody early access. So I did send you a message. Please feel free to edit it down or
Awesome.
whatever the idea is that anybody in this community can go and sign up first and make sure they follow the instructions about mentioning iHeart AI and all that stuff. The other day I actually created an agent. I had the agents create an agent for me, but I named him Goggins, like David Goggins, because I realized
Nice.
that I'm pretty disorganized right now. And so now I do my morning stand-ups and he holds me accountable. And throughout the day, he actually will pop up
Very
and start,
cool.
hey, did you do your thing that you committed to? And da 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 da. It's pretty cool. So he's like a coach, he's an accountability buddy, he's a productivity expert, he's a task manager, he's assigning tasks to other agents to handle them for me. It's pretty cool.
That's amazing. I
Yeah.
absolutely love it. Can you throw the link into the chat for people who are just here so they don't have to go find it in the community? And then I just also threw into the chat the GitHub repo for the prompt guide that's evolved over the last probably 3 years. If you
Thank
haven't
you.
seen this, it's really good. I love it. I use it all the time. It's what I usually give early, like new prompt engineers. I'm like, oh, and it's not a
This
single
is
source. It's kind of,
beautiful.
yeah, it's an aggregation of like so many things, so many resources. And it's been built over time. I think if you go to the prompt, like to that repo, you'll see that in the README, they've documented it now into a website and created an academy. But it's fun when you watch
Yeah.
these things, like you're basically watching a product get born, right? So it started
Mhm.
off as a repo, they got a bunch of people to contribute to it, they then turned it into a website. Now you can join it and pay them, and they've monetized it. Now they're building classes. It's really cool to see because, you know, now these people, if they choose to do it, do not have to go and work in corporate America. They can just teach people something they care about, which I feel like
That's
all
the
of us could
goal.
do. 100%.
That's the
100%.
goal.
So yeah, so now you can see like in the product announcements, it says like now they offer self-paced prompting courses. I mean, it's literally like the evolution of what happened. And you can watch, that's why I love GitHub, is that you can go back to all their announcements back to 2022 and watch them kind of evolve. And it's really
Mhm.
inspiring because if you, and you, somebody said this earlier, like it's all about putting in the reps. Like you just put in the reps. Like you just keep doing, oh yeah, you were saying that, Matt, right, about speaking, but you just do the work and it does work out, but it sometimes I call it like the valley of death, right? Like sometimes you're doing like all these reps and nothing's happening. And a lot you can watch that happen where they're like flatlined, nobody's like really contributing, it's not very exciting, then all of a sudden it takes off.
Yeah,
It's
you
really
never
cool.
know when the right person is listening or watching though, right? And you might do a talk and 6 months later somebody says, "Hey, I saw you back in
Yes,
Sydney
yes,
and I've been wanting to reach out to you and I've got a project," right? So, like
100%.
you said, I think authentic voices is where it's at. If you could just be an authentic and consistent voice and not focus on like buying numbers and trying to appear a certain
Yes.
way, it will happen. You just keep planting the seeds.
Yes, and it is exactly about consistency. Like that's probably the most, I mean, authenticity first. I think you all came to this community because we try to, embody authenticity, but it's consistency. And it's hard to be consistent because it requires discipline. And most of us haven't really, practiced discipline at scale. So, and we're not really forced to be disciplined. I mean, a lot of even just watching people at work, I'm very ambitious. So I set a target. It's usually way higher than the target I'm accountable for. And I'm like driving numbers and just trying to get people to be like, oh my gosh, how did you do all of that? So that is my personal like drive. But I find a lot of people aren't very disciplined and they're even in work, their jobs, their manager doesn't even really hold them accountable for a number or a thing or a deliverable, very squishy, like tangible. It's really lacking a lot of tangible results. And this is to your point. I think what the world is going to become very hungry for is like real tangible outcomes of whatever kind, whether it's in AI or personnel or human resources or whatever creatives. People want, that's why I always say become a doer. Like people want the stuff. They don't want the talk,
The fluff.
the fluff.
Are
No
you
fluff, just stuff. Do you remember those people? That
Mhm.
was a whole conference series back in the day.
Are you guys
What are you saying?
familiar with the concept misogi? It's
No.
so the original meaning of this was it was like a Shinto Japanese like purification thing, and the whole idea was basically pre Wim Hof. It was like getting under freezing cold water and enduring it. But what it's
Oh,
become that I think is really useful is today in modern times, it's the idea of taking something that you're challenged by. Like, let's say, I'll just give it a simple basic example, like, and then I'll apply it to AI. But um, let's say I can do 200 push-ups a day. Like that's what I've been doing, right? What you do is you commit to doing 10x. So if you run 5 miles a day, you do 50 miles, right? And you literally say, okay, tomorrow I'm going to do 10x what I normally would do. And you just commit to doing it. No opinion, no nothing. You just do it and you figure out a way to do it. And even if it takes you all day and you break it into little pieces or whatever, and you just do something. If you only make 5 sales calls, you make 50, right? And what ends up happening is the results, you end out, first you want to quit, then you want to justify, okay, well, I've gotten 4 times more than I've ever done before. So that should be good enough. And you just keep going and keep going. And what ends up happening is you stretch your boundary because you realize it was actually a lot easier to accomplish than you thought you could. And I suggest everybody do this in one way or another in your life because it becomes the reset to the way you think about AI. Because AI can literally 10x everything you do, except I find myself still catching myself operating as if AI doesn't exist, even though I'm using it. So I still go back to the old manual habits of doing shit. But when you actually do any one thing and you 10x what you normally can do, it actually elevates your entire baseline of what you can do or believe you can do. So it was really helpful for me.
I love it. Yeah. So I'm a big believer in
Oh,
the
there you
concept
go.
of
Cool.
10x for sure. Yeah. Thank you for posting that. That's great.
word.
And I talk about it like volunteer exposure therapy, like where you do really hard things that push, it's similar cognitively, like it pushes the boundaries of what you think is possible. Um, but this is literally maybe 8 years ago. I read some book called the 10x Rule, and it was all about this philosophy of like just setting a number, and no matter what the activity that's required to do 10x will now shift your mindset. Like it's kind of Serena Williams said it in her biography that, when she had won like 20 something masters or whatever. And she had just won a competition and she went to her trainer. She's like, great, I want to start training for the next one. And the trainer came back to her and was like, I mean, so are you trying to just win the next one, or like are you wanting to be like an Olympic athlete, or do you want to win, like, what's your end goal? And she said that the power of her changing her mindset to being like, oh no, I'm going to be the winningest person ever. I'm going to win. I'm going to not only, triple crown, whatever, I don't know anything about tennis, but all the things, and then also become an Olympic athlete. Like setting a 10x goal forced her now to train differently for even the next little thing she had to do. Like now she was training as like this ridiculous, this accelerated version of herself. And that your activities in the moment, like your tactical activities, significantly change when you're going for this very small win versus this very big win. And I found this to be true, especially with like events or speaking, right? So a few years ago, I was just like, well, if I could just get, a few gigs, that would be great. And so I set my goal like 10 gigs a year, which I wasn't doing any. So it was a big goal. I guess it was 10x at the time. But recently, like just last year, I was like, oh no, I want to do, 200 events. I want to make, I don't know, 80 to $90,000 a month speaking on stages. And by setting that goal, everything I do changes now. Like every stage I'm on changes, every conversation I have changes, because I've got this like massive goal that I'm trying to reach on a daily basis. But I've never heard about this Misogi challenge. That's pretty cool. But I do ice baths, so I'm always pushing the edge. But I like this idea. What's up, Monique? Good to see you again. You made it. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for coming on camera to say hello. Yeah, I love this. But yeah, 10x has changed my life. So 8 years ago, when I first started this, when I read that book, I was an engineer and I wanted to make more money because I was making like 200K or something as an engineer. So I got involved in the sales organization and shifted, which is hard. Any engineer on here will probably relate. Going to sales was like the dark side. Like as an engineer, nobody wants to be a salesperson. They think it's somehow not, I don't know, a diminishment of your whatever. And so I was suffering from that where I was like, well, I don't want to be a salesperson. And then I found out how much money they make. And I was like, okay, well, I definitely want to do that. So I jump ship, become a seller, and then get a comp plan, a compensation plan, which I've never had before in my 20 years of being an engineer, never had a comp plan. And they give you a number, and my comp plan said, one, if I make a certain amount, I'll get, my commission. But then there were these concepts of accelerators. And if you hit 5x, 10x, or 20x, these numbers went like ballistic because nobody hits 20x their number. So when you do that, you get like massive pay. Anyway, so I took this 10x concept and I was like, oh, I'm going to do more calls. I'm going to do more meetings. I'm going to build more demos than everybody. Like incredibly intense work. However, like that was the first time in a quarter that I made a 6-figure commission. And I was like,
Good for you.
Wait. I was like, and I didn't even know what I was doing. Since then, I mean, that was like, okay, now I can make 7 figures in 3 months. I did 900% of my number. I didn't know they did this either. They then changed the quota for the next quarter. So they shifted my quota up to meet my current demand. Like they're like, well, if you can do 900, we obviously didn't get that number right. I didn't know you could change the rules in the middle of the game, but anyway, that's sales, I guess. So then the next quarter, I did it again, and this time was only like 625% of my number, but still, it was so big. Like it was, everyone else was getting like $22,000, and I made like $182,000. So it's like,
Hell yeah, that's awesome. In 3 months,
right?
good for you.
Yes. And so then, of course, I'm like this is what happens with 10x because now my 10x is like at 100K every 3 months, and then 100K. That, which is what last year I was like, oh, I want to make 100K a month.
Hell yeah, go on, girl.
As soon as you do it though, like that becomes your floor. Like it's soon that's the value of this philosophy is that your 10x is constantly evolving. So it gets crazy. I mean, now I'm on this like $1 billion like mission, which I never could have seen myself when I was 25 or 30 years old. Like I was happy with 200K. I thought I was doing pretty good actually. And now I'm like,
well, I'll tell you this, I have never made $200,000 in my entire life. So for you to make,
let's go.
Yeah. So no, that's awesome. You're doing better than a vast majority of any human that's ever walked the planet. So you're doing great, girl.
What I realized though is that it's 100% like one, letting go of these limitations that I thought I didn't want to be a seller. If I knew, like now I'm like, everyone, that's why I'm building this AI solutions architect course. I'm like, everyone needs to be a seller. This is where you make, the world revolves around sell. If you can sell what you do, and I don't mean like cold calling, like, direct response marketing. I mean, just being able to articulate the value of the thing that you do. That's literally sales. Is what I have is valuable, and I'm going to give you, I'm going to give it to you at a discount. Like I'm going to take my decades and give it to you for days.
The future of selling is just relating and closing because AI will do all of the rest of the funnel, including qualifying and setting your appointment. So you're going to get on the phone with somebody who is a warm and interested prospect, and then you're just going to be able to connect and close. It's going to be exciting.
And then, like you said, it becomes authenticity and consistency. If you just show up as yourself and you genuinely care about your customers, you're going to distinguish yourself from everyone else who actually doesn't care that much. Like most people, I don't know if you saw the study, Gallup just did a poll on the workforce, like 78,000 people, and they found out that 37% of people are actively disengaged at work, and 18% of people are actively sabotaging the work that they do.
Correct. Yes.
Like 1 in 4 people, 1 in 5 people in the room that you're in, if you're in a meeting, like someone's actively sabotaging what you're doing.
Yeah, those are the stats. Yeah. 1 in 5, 20%. So if you got 5 people at a table, 1 is actively working against you. Yes, correct.
And so here's the good news though, is that to be like really good at what you do, to be someone who gets chosen over everyone else, it's not this monolithic amount of effort. It's like being yourself and actually helping people by helping people. Like that's literally all you have to do. And so that's kind of like, I'm trying to demystify for people. It's like, it is actually possible to make, you know, six-figure salary or six figures in income doing something you love, just like we watch with these prompt builder guys. Like they built a prompt guide. Granted, it was at a good time. Timing is a factor. But like identifying to your point, Mark, on like, you have AI that's going to identify your target audience as long as you have clarity on thought of what you're doing and what you want to provide. But your target audience, getting them warmed up, people aren't going to buy from AI over time. Like we're going to see this resistance to actually buying from AI systems and automatic selling. I think I'm already seeing that, at least in the enterprises that I talk to. Like they want to buy from a human. They want brands that are human. But everything else, the minutia, the like getting them on the call, that's all going to be automated. And it's really exciting because we talked about this last week or the week before, right? We're just like months away from the solopreneur that makes, $1 billion in a year. And now with systems like Mystic or like, oh, I didn't tell you, but my favorite is Semantic Kernel. It's like old school, like the old fashioned way of like chaining, but I like it. I like it because I like understanding how it works. I always tell people the best way to learn AI is by building AI, right? But I like to build it first and then automate it. I don't like easy buttons that are easy right away because then you don't know. I hate when something goes wrong and I'm like, well, I have no idea what happened when I clicked that button. So and many people, that's where they are with AI, right? They're using these systems and they're not working. And then they're just like, oh, I guess it just doesn't work. I'm like, well, it probably works if you understood what you broke, like what broke when you used it. But I think there is some value in understanding how these systems actually pin things together underneath. But some people use, so I like Semantic Kernel because it's a Microsoft product. It's run by a person I'm very good friends with. And I support my friends, just like I'll support my new friend, Eric, right? In this platform. Like, I think it's really cool to support these ideas, just like the prompt engineering guy. Like, I like people who come up with an idea, put it onto the world, and then put in a bunch of work to make it successful and valuable to people. But another one is LangChain LangChain, which is a chaining, like it chains little models together. It's useful to build one project using these kind of. It's funny, they came out a year and a half ago and they're already kind of antiquated because there's automation tools to like stick all this stuff together. But I think it's useful to use to go in, and all of them have discords. This is another part of the new world that I love. Like I think that's a sign when we are building this technology, and one of the most valuable parts of the technology is the community that comes with it. Earlier this morning, I guess this afternoon for you all, I'm trying to see if Sanjine's on here. Yeah, Sanjine was asking me, why do I like Chat App Builder as my bot builder tool of choice? And I was like, it's not because it's the best. It's because the community is awesome and the CEO is cool and the people are nice and they answer our questions and they're very accessible. And that is more valuable to me. I will give them my money because I like what they're doing and I like who they are. And I do think that that's the trend we'll see moving forward. Like you being likable, being trustworthy, being authentic is going to become a special skill in a world where a lot of people are going to be lazy and try and use AI to go end to end. Go ahead, Matt.
I am so glad you said that because it's kind of serendipitous because I'm listening to you and you're talking about how the authentic human connection and emphasizing emotional intelligence, is really going to be.
Or can anyone hear you, Matt?
Can you hear me? Hello, Bueller?
Hold on, maybe I did that.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay, it's my fault. Go ahead, Matt. Sorry.
Oh, good. Oh, no. So just restarting. So real quick, it's very lovely to hear you speak about the emotional connection and the emotional intelligence because that's actually like when you're here in DC, that's exactly where my talk's going to go is like how to implement like Price's Law in the organization and like, who are the productive employees of the future when it comes to artificial intelligence and how is artificial intelligence going to affect the orgs? And like, so as AI, and just to give you a quick just summary, so as artificial intelligence reduces the need for humans at the task and process level, what that's going to do is those communication flows are going to become rarer and therefore more valuable. So the people that are going to excel within organizations of the future are not only those that understand and know it and can leverage HI or AI, but also have a high level of communication ability, skills, as well as emotional intelligence, because those human relationships are going to become even more rare and even more precious and even more vital to moving, organizations forward. So
Oh my gosh,
yeah, no, I
100%.
love to hear your thoughts on that. And that's what you're seeing, because in the realm that I work in, which is, federal space, yeah, it's dealing with that, right? And really dealing with those very large scale organizations that are, oh my gosh, so resistant to change. But
Yes,
I digress.
absolutely. Monique, chime in. Hello, good to see you. I'm so glad you're here.
Everyone. Just to kind of piggyback, so I work for a local health insurance company. They are rushing to go to AI, and I'm in their PMO, and they're looking at, okay, what do we do in order to build efficiency? And one of the questions that our top manager asks is, well, how many projects can a project manager manage? Or how many programs can a program manager manage? And so I'm tasked to going back, looking at AI, see how we can improve things. But the question I pose to him is, okay, we're coming forward with, we're going to make these suggestions, but what is the organization's plan when all of these employees have free time? And you're going to have to answer that question. And that will change whether or not the individual accepts it or they resist it. Because if you don't have a future for them, or if you don't have a future for your company, we have all this free time, then that's where it's not going to be successful. And, the question, his answer was, well, we have some things that we want to do, but that to me was very vague, because it tells me that they really aren't looking at it. They're really looking
Nope.
at it from an efficiency standpoint. And then when we get there, it'll be too late to kind of say, okay, now we have all this free time. What do we do? So it's very
You
telling,
lay them
not
off.
only for larger organizations, but even smaller ones who feel like, and they're not that small, but to me, working at like HP and other, they are small compared to them. And they're trying to rush to get there, but they're still not thinking past what do we do when we get there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is why I'm so interested in like helping organizations understand what higher value work looks like for their employees, because we're so stuck in hiring people to do mundane tasks. And I mean, you're seeing the nonsense that's happening at AWS or Amazon in general. They're about to lay off like their entire middle. Now, granted, I'm conflicted with that whole thing, because I have worked for people, middle managers, first line managers, and some of them are awful. And I'm like, yeah, maybe we don't need you. But on the other side, like, it's also the glue that holds many of those teams together, is this person that kind of prioritizes work and like figures out, to your point on technical program managers and project managers, like product owners, like these are the people that like hold it all together and help people figure out where to spend their time. But in a
The
world where
emotional connection.
in a world where I can, delegate to an AI system for lots of these tasks, how do we reinvent what human work looks like? And human work, most organizations have no idea. So like, instead of seeing the opportunity to make, for example, an entire contact center sellers, right? Enabling them to do cross-selling and upselling and actually helping customers in new and interesting ways, they're going to lay those people off and do less, which is really unfortunate. So this is where I think a lot of us that are in the strategy world, this is our goal, is that we drive strategic vision that is less about technology and more about human value.
People.
Like what, I think that's kind of your role now, Monique, right? In this company, is like, how do you, it's hard though, because it sounds like you're going to have some filters you need to get through, but like, how do you get them to rethink, like, what does human work look like in a world where we don't have to do those things? And how do we make sure that the executive team, this is why I always start with the executive team, how do you make sure the executive team understands that human work is actually valuable? Because in the short term, it appears as if it's not, like there's no value. So we're just going to get rid of those FTEs and those full-time employees. If you get rid of them now, you actually truncate your ability to scale, truncate your ability to grow. Like, this is going to be the most prosperous, like, 3 to 5 years in our economic history. Like, we are going to decrease the amount of work that humans do that they don't like and increase the amount of work that they like and enjoy. More human connection. Like so much good stuff can happen
Mhm.
unless you are a short-sighted executive like Blockbuster.
Most of
And,
them.
right, yeah.
Like playing to the quarterly reports. That's what it's gotten.
100% transactional growth. 100%.
May I comment on that?
Of course, please do. Yeah, yeah.
Do the same thing I do when I have those discussions. Play upon their self-interest, right? Because as you chip away from that human capital pyramid and the base gets smaller, the need for the large top gets smaller as well. So, hey, if you automate your workforce and you lay off all these people, who are you going to be the executive of, buddy? Where's your paycheck coming from, dude? You know what I'm saying? You're muted, Nicole. Or Noel, sorry, you're muted.
It's because I was changing my headset. This is one of the things that I realized that Andy Jassy has said, which is so weird that he's now making these really broad strokes. Like I don't know what's going on over there, but he has said in the past, like if we lay off people, like everyone's a customer, and if you lay off your workforce, no one will buy the things. Like you won't have people to buy what you need if you don't grow your company, if you focus on cost reduction as opposed to revenue growth. And this kind of circles back to like the 10x rule, right? And when you think about doing more, you shift your mindset from how do we cut costs, and like when you cut costs, especially in the way that Amazon is doing now, they're cutting into the muscle of the company that would
You
fuel
cut
their growth.
capability.
Yes. And this is, I mean, I spent the last year talking to executives like to convince them that the short-term gain of reducing their full-time staff was actually going to hurt them long term. And to your point, it was so much more effective to tell them, here's where the opportunity lies. If you change the work, the tasks that they do from this work to this human work, like cross-selling and upselling, here's how many more customers get served. Here's your CSAT improvement. Here's your, like, how much more money you can make. Like when you make it more about the metrics that they care about, it's easier for them to say yes. But it's a very hard mindset, I think, to shift to.
Well,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I
And
mean, well, our culture. Sorry, go ahead, Mark, please.
I was just going to say some of the good news is, you know, with AI, we have the ability to find and correlate more connections of new revenue streams and new strategies that maybe those departments have just been focused on their goals. So if they start thinking outside the box and thinking, okay, if we have this much more time and I'm actually going to be moved to a different position, well, maybe my position will be working on this new niche revenue stream and this new marketing avenue and these types of things. Everybody, though, is going to have to be able to understand. They're not going to have to learn prompt engineering. The reality is prompt engineering is all going away in like 6 months, right? And the systems will do all the heavy lifting underneath you, which is cool. On the micro level, though, we've been talking about by the beginning of 2026, you know, instead of having an incubator model, right, which is this whole, hey, we'll put all this investment dollars into these new companies, Y Combinator, all this, creating teams of people who have had exits that can coach up people who maybe aren't 100% media savvy or all of these things, and then go out and spend our time discovering incredibly passionate, awesome personalities who are doing something big in the world but have no idea how to own a company and run a company, and then literally building 99% of the company for them. Basically just have the AIs for people and spinning up the AIs to run every department and do everything and teach them how to get on podcasts, how to sell people on their stories, tell them how to tell stories and how to build community. And everything else is done behind the scenes through this system. And that's an exciting and super inexpensive way to create multi-million-dollar companies that are changing the world.
Exactly. You know? Exactly. And that, you know, like, yes, they might be multi-million, but maybe like it doesn't, you know what I mean? Like we can create all of these companies that provide value to their unique audience, which we can now very like target explicitly. So there's the idea of scarcity, the idea of unicorns, right? Kind of like it gets a little bit demystified. I think everyone now, and it's literally the future Bill Gates has talked about for quite some time. Like the future is each one of us identifying our unique skill set and offering that. It's almost like a barter system in a capitalist society where we now can make a livelihood that allows us to live a very good life by offering that in a gig economy as opposed to, and we're already seeing this with consultancies,
Well,
like consultancies
I
are
think it's going to
growing
go.
at scale. Go
Oh,
ahead.
I'm sorry. I think it's going to go in a different route. And if I may share that, and I think it goes back
Of
to,
course.
what kind of something you said, Nicole, that just now that, we get to have all of these, our own little thing and market these micro industries. Well, you know, yeah, exactly. So, when we have I mean, nobody grows up saying, I want to send marketing emails. No one grows up saying, I can't wait to run a call center, right? Like, no one wants these jobs. They're just the BS that grew up because our society is the way it is, and we kind of saw what happens when that creative energy is given back to humanity during the first few weeks of the pandemic. We break bread, we danced, everyone kind of had a good time with exploring themselves and sitting with themselves. Now that we can, through artificial intelligence over, the I would say, very near-term time horizon, get rid of a lot of this drudgery and just BS office work, right? That really sucks up our time, and we as humanity are given our time back. Why do we need multi-million-dollar companies at that point? Like, honestly, who really cares? Like, I'll run my yoga studio, I'll have AI do all the back end business BS, and yeah, I'll barter, and what do we have there? We have the seeds for Star Trek, to be quite honest with you. So, I mean, I think that that a lot of these people that are looking at artificial intelligence to make them a lot of money are being very, very short sighted, because I think through artificial intelligence, we're making humanity better. Like, we're literally phase shifting into the future, right? By taking all this, like I said, and if I offend anyone, I'm sorry, but I'll stand by it. All this BS work that's just here just because it has to be here because that's how our society is. Get rid of it. And you know what? You're never going to be able to eat money. So good luck with that little stock ticker, because that's a one and zero that doesn't mean anything to me with my own little, macadamia nut farm, right? So anyways, that's the way I see it going, is I see it returning to the individual and returning to those emotional connections that we all really
Yeah.
want. And that's the life we
Yeah.
actually want to live.
I think it's interesting because it is going to check people's, idea of security. I mean, that's why I really find it fascinating about these layoffs that have happened. I actually think it's
Mhm.
really good because it's forcing people to think like, what does work really need to look like? How much money do I really need to live a life that I'd be happy with? Do I really want to, like me? I mean, I went through this last year where I was like, do I really want to work for, like, I know how it ends. It ends the same way every single time. I really don't like it. My value is
Yeah,
great.
facts.
Like, but every time, like, so then you get, and now there's a bunch of people that are like laser focused on, which is really great to hear what you're talking about, Mark, around how do we educate those people that do have a good idea, that do have value to give to the world, but have no idea how to get that into the world. I mean, it's why I created the AI startup studios. It was just like, let me just give you enough information to make 100 grand. And then you're going to be inspired by that 100 grand to make more money as much as you want. And you maybe want to hire people and create a culture. That's fine too. But I do think
Yep.
it checks our understanding and comfort level with what we think security is. But now, in the sea of unemployment that's happening, especially in the tech field,
Oh yeah.
security is different now, right? Like, we don't have just getting a job at like Accenture, PwC, IBM, like these big Microsoft, Amazon. You have no security. Even if you're the best, you could be laid off in one of these massive, mindless, number driven,
You're just a
layoffs.
number and nobody cares about you.
Yes. And so
And those are
I
the
think it's,
exact type of organizations that are going to fail.
yeah, I think it's really, and we're literally watching like Amazon kind of implode on itself on going against the very principles. I mean, Jeff Bezos must be just like, what are you guys doing over there? Because it's like the
I'm
principles
so
he built that company.
Really? Like, honestly, like, I am cheering on Amazon's failure. Like, no, dead serious, because, like, look, that's the reason that the reason that I never touch Amazon, like, I avoid that company like the plague, is because of how they treat their people, right? Like,
Well,
look
I
at
mean,
how
I was an employee and I got treated very well. So
well, yeah, but see, the people I know that work for Amazon work in the distribution centers,
sure.
right? Like, the actual people that
Sure,
made
sure.
Amazon Amazon. And so like with the way I look at it as a consumer, and I advise my federal clients about this all the time. I'm like, stay away from Amazon because look, no, I'm dead serious. Look, if they're
I
if
agree.
if
I mean,
Amazon
I hear you.
executives are going to treat their lowest level employees like they treat them, what do you think they're going to do to you when the times get hard?
Yeah, that's an
Right? Like
interesting.
it was there the whole time.
Yeah.
Sorry, but like like this is not surprising. They just moved up the food chain. Now it's just the people making more money. This has been
Well,
happening to the low level Amazon guy for years and years and years. So, you know,
um,
Yeah. What do you
yeah.
think,
it's
Mark?
interesting though with Amazon because actually, Noel, do you know David Dubinsky? He used
I
to be with
do.
Amazon. Yeah, so he's a good friend of mine, right? And
Oh,
he was with Amazon Search, and he said the corporate culture was really incredible, like from an efficiency and support standpoint. But again, the company's so big that they were 100%. It might as well be a different company than the people who are in the warehouses. It's like
yes.
they just
Yeah.
literally are siloed out, and so they have, like. But he's been a mentor of mine, teaching me a lot of the sort of the way the Amazon flywheel works and the way people go show up to meetings and how they prepare and it was like how to be a clear communicator and get to the point and all this and not sabotage your 1 out of 5 at the table. you know so it's an interesting one because I also cheer on Amazon's demise because the way they price fix and the way they control their vendors, which is pretty effed, right? But I think that there's what has me the most excited about all of this is simply the idea that AI is democratizing everything. Because I think the next great filmmakers are going to be some 16-year-old kid who's a great storyteller in his living room. And he doesn't need to have to know how to use cameras, and he doesn't have to know how to do any of that shit because the technology will do it. And he'll be able to go, well, I want to move the lighting this way, and I want to change the mood to this. And that's coming very soon. And so the best storytellers will be the ones, and all the gatekeeping and all the Hollywood shit and all the entertainment industry corruption, it's all going to fall apart. And it makes me very excited as somebody who used to live in LA and produce shit.
That's exactly like democratization is exactly what excites me as well. And I do think, you know, I think of course, I similar to IBM. Like I bled blue for 15 years before I went to work for Amazon, and then I bled orange, and I like loved the culture. I built teams there. We were family. Like I absolutely loved it. I have lots of people that lead teams at data centers, and it all comes down like if you have a good leader, they're going to build like a little bubble inside Amazon that's amazing and beautiful. And Amazon's culture allows you to do that. I got to create an autonomous team, create my own rules. I hired my own people. I created a diverse workforce, and I could do that. And then I've realized now that that's a bit unique. But what I find interesting to your point on democratization is that like the rising tide of technology typically just raises the yachts, right? Like the big companies have gotten
Mm-hmm.
better. And in this world that we're all in, like it's raising all the boats. Like anyone who wants to have a boat can have a boat. And that is,
Damn right.
I think, the most exciting. And I'm now, like I always like to be proof in the pudding, right? Like I want to start a company and get it to a certain amount. My first goal is like 100K. I just want to make 100K. And then it was 100K a month. And it was like, so as we become demonstrations of this and the smaller I do it in, the more believable it is that someone else who's just like me but 5 years behind me can go, all right, well, if Noel did it, and I'm willing to, like, here's the beauty of the new world is that there is zero scarcity. People always ask me, like, why do you share all the things? I'm like, because there's zero scarcity in a world where I can target my people. I'm not worried about you
Yeah.
coming in and even taking my own idea and selling it. It irritates me, but I'm not mad. Like, go for it. I don't have time for all that. There's so much of everything. Like there's more
Mm-hmm.
customers, there's more, there's just no scarcity. And I think this drives a lot of people to like go work at a company because they're like, oh, well, I mean, what if it doesn't work? What if I can't build a model? What if I can't do the thing that I want to do? And technology will remove a lot of that uncertainty. And especially if we create communities that help companies with the gaps that they have, especially around authentic storytelling, which makes me very happy because I've always been a good storyteller. And people have said it's the best and worst part about me as an employee. But we're like, the world is continuously shifted towards the more authentic you can be and the more lived experience you can collect and then share with people, the more like the more you can have. And I think the world is shifting that way. Monique, did you want to say anything else? You chimed in a little bit
Yeah,
earlier.
I
Yeah.
wanted I wanted to just quickly, we were talking about this. I know last week they talked about education, right? Getting to the younger generation and the younger kids. That's what's most important because they need to, right now, our education system, the way it is, for the majority of those in the public education system, they are trained to do those jobs that we're talking about AI is going to take away, right? They're trained to kind of do the task, do the task, do the task, and their creativity is being squashed. And so that's why it's so important for us to start there as well, to not forget that as they come up, they see this new world and they're able to enjoy and be a part of it, because a lot of those communities don't know. They may hear ChatGPT or they may see something, but that's about it. They
Oh my
don't know
gosh,
what
yeah.
the possibilities are. So it's really, really, like I said, I was excited to hear last week that individuals going to schools, like you said, no, like you're going to schools to teach that. But
Yeah.
while we're doing stuff and we are consulting and with all these big companies, let's use those funding to help those other schools and places that we left behind.
Yeah, it's the digital divide. I mean, that is a huge concern for me. Only I mentioned that last week, like only because I know that I am very specifically caring for my kids, and so that drives my participation. But I grew up about 60 miles south of where we live now, a very rural area where the teachers tell you you don't have to finish school. You could just go get a job and make money for your family, and that's better for you. You don't need a diploma. I mean, what's education anyway? And that's like the philosophy. Like if they think you are struggling with education, they're like, you don't have to do this. Just go get a job at McDonald's. And 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 they never get to even know that these technologies exist. I mean, even here in Australia, like there's lots of different communities that haven't heard of Alexa, like that they don't have it. They haven't been exposed to it, let alone the idea that they could build for it. I mean, now those days are coming to an end, but they don't realize, like, especially with Alexa, for the last 7 years, you could build for Alexa, build a skill on Alexa with no code whatsoever. And nobody, like, they didn't have that capability, they didn't have that accessibility. And now in a world where we have ChatGPT and you can like, or any model, any platform, I mean, there's so many no code platforms out right now. I think that I'm very worried about it, this gap getting wider, because we'll get very excited about the momentum and the acceleration of who we can help, that we might forget those people who aren't even invited to learn about what's possible. So that's why I've now started always saying boardroom to whiteboard to keyboard to chalkboard. Like I throw in the chalkboard version just to let us know, like, we're equally as responsible for that. And for those of you not familiar, I'll type it into the chat there for anyone who's interested. I think I shared this with you all last time, but MIT has a program with really great content for education for middle school, high school. It's actually great for adults too. The content is free. You would have to build a nonprofit to leverage it commercially, because they don't want you obviously just taking their content and making billions of dollars from it. But it's called Raise, and the content is just really good. They've got all Google Drives full of PowerPoint presentations, workshops, hands-on activities, like just really great stuff. And so it becomes less like, oh, it's just like the world of AI. Like you don't have to have all the things. Like now the things are provided. All the content is here. We actually need people who are willing to get in front of kids and tell the story. And what I've uncovered is that educators are very worried about this space. They're worried about not being educated enough, not understanding the tech enough, being inferior. And so they know this tech exists, this content, and they won't use it because they don't feel confident in their skills. There's two different audiences, right? One, you can go in and be the person that teaches these kids, or you could teach the educators, which we have some members of our community that are they're teaching teachers. But both of those audiences really need help, because both of them, they just don't have the accessibility we do. And it is, I feel like, with great power comes great responsibility. We all have a lot of power in our current person. Like, no matter if you're on this call, like, you are privileged in the exposure we have to the technology and the resources. I feel like, it's like tithing, like take 10% of your time and use that to help an audience who may not have access to this. That's what I try to do, how I try to live. But yeah, so it's a great point, Marie. Thank you so much. I'm excited for your role. I hope you're enjoying your life there and it's not super frustrating.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good. Louisiana, that's where I am. It's very laid back, slower paced than other companies I've been in. So that's a good thing, which means that it allows me to explore other things. And a lot,
Yes.
and when you get older, there are things that you no longer ask permission for. It's kind of
Yep.
like you go out and do the things. And so I go out and do the things and then tell them, oh, okay. Or I inject myself into something. So here they're developing the governance committee. I injected myself into that and say, hey, I can help you guys. So I helped them put together their principles and the procedures and the plan and kept them on track and yada, yada, yada. And so, I'm getting that experience. And so, like I said, at this point, it's not a career, it's something that I enjoy doing. And so that way I don't feel like, oh, okay, or should I? It's just like,
Yeah.
do it. Someone tell me no. So it's really
That's
interesting.
fun.
But like you said, for me still is education. And, I started SmarterCodes and still working with that, but taking it in a different direction because at the time when I started, and for those, I'm trying to build apps that help individuals on the spectrum improve their communication skills. And at first I started out with Alexa, an Alexa skill, but once AI came about and I knew I needed more, now I'm at the point where, hey, okay, I see enough of the pieces so I can build what I really want to build. And so, that's still my heart. That's still where it is. So my day job fuels and funds that part of it. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about education because my kids are privileged. Then they are on the spectrum, but they still understand. They hear me talk about it all the time. Whenever I hear something new, I'm like, oh, hey, look at this cool thing. And they look at me like, oh,
Yep.
okay, mom, it's the AI thing, but at least they know. But I do, worry about my community. And so
Yeah.
Monique, where are you based in Louisiana?
I'm in Baton Rouge.
Okay. Yeah, my kids are all being raised in New Orleans.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm originally from New Orleans, but yeah, I'm here in
Yeah.
Baton Rouge. Yeah.
Love
Very
Exactly.
cool. Small
Yeah.
world. Well, amazing. I just want to give a shout out to everyone. Andrea, thank you for joining us. And Praveen is here. I just want to say hi. So it's great to see you. And Sandrine, thanks for coming back. Some of you all have been on with me for a couple hours today already. Lucy's here too. So I just want to say hi, Lucy. Really grateful that you guys come and listen to like all of the things. I think it's a great conversation and dialogue. Every week I look forward to our time together. Some weeks are a little bit more prescriptive than others. This week, though, before I end, in the next few minutes, we are launching our Bot Builder workshop for October. It's the 22nd and 23rd this coming week in order to support a bunch of the people in our community that just joined in Australia. We're going to do them at 8 p.m. Eastern. So hopefully that won't be too bad for too many of you. I don't think we have a bunch of people in Europe yet, but that would be uncomfortable for them. But to support our new Australian friends, we have about 50 members that just joined from Australia. And New Zealand. So I wanted to just give them a time-friendly spot. So we're going to do 8 p.m. on the 22nd, 23rd. You can either join by just, you'll see it's a one-time fee on the on the I Love AI community. But if you want to, you can also join the AI Leadership Institute. It's cheaper to do per month. However, it is a monthly thing. But right now on Monday, we are starting a brand new course called the AI Solutions Architect course. It's on Maven. And when you join the AI Leadership Institute, you get free access to that course, which is like $3,000 that course is going for. And it's my life's work. It's selling, it's presenting yourself, it's creating a brand. It is, of course, understanding tech. So you get your fingers on the keyboard on Amazon, Google, and Microsoft AI, just to give you a broader understanding of the tools in your toolbox. There's way more than that, of course, from a tool set perspective, but lots of people I talk to don't even have an understanding of what the big cloud providers are doing. So this is my attempt to kind of equalize access to these platforms. And of course, we'll do bot building in that. It's a 6-week program. We meet every Monday, also at night, to accommodate our Australian friends. We have about 18 people registered for the course, not including all the people that are in the AI Leadership Institute. So it'll be a fun group. It is project driven. So just so you know, like fingers on keyboard. I'm a believer that you can't, I could easily build a YouTube or like, video based class. I do lots of video content, but my favorite thing to do is build together. And that's why we do the bot builder workshop. That's why I do the AI solutions architect course, because we're actually going to create a deck. You're going to build a pitch deck. You're going to pitch it to us. And you'll get feedback on your storytelling capability. Cause it's just like we talked about, right? The whole session today, authenticity, consistency, how do you take your lived experience and use that to demonstrate value, especially in a world where you can use AI to help solve problems. So that's coming up. So if you want to take a look, you'll see it in the classroom. Just go in the classroom, you'll see AI Bot Builder. You can join there, or you can go to the AI Leadership Institute website as well. It's actually a link right on, as a matter of fact, maybe I'll share my screen so you could all see it. I don't know what's on my screen right now. Let's hope it's not my inbox. No, it's not. It's the prompt engineering guide. So I'm going to just go to school. So this is the iHeart. Oh, look, we have a member pending. So over here, you can see there's a link right here. Mine is in dark, so yours might be light, but it's the very first link. So that'll flip you over to the AI Leadership Institute and you can become a member here. And both are, equally as good. But I do try to spend more time with the AI Leadership Institute members. You also get inside scoops on how we're building our business and growing our revenue. So if you're interested in seeing like an AI company grow from scratch, it's really kind of cool and fun to take a look at. And that's it. It's super fun. I love hanging out with you all. I hope you'll join us for bot building. Once you join once, you get access to all the bot building sessions in the future. We do it once a month. And then we have lots of fun coming up. Oh yeah, last thing. So by November 1st, there is an opportunity to get a badge from Azure AI. And in Azure AI, I think it's called the AI Skills Challenge. So we are going to, at the end of this week, right before October 1st, maybe it's the beginning of next week. Anyway, I'll let you know what date it is, but we're going to just get together and we're going to go through document intelligence on Azure and get a badge together. So for any of you who want to do that, sometimes you could go through and just read the content and take the knowledge questions, but I help build that product. So I'm going to give you some behind the scenes, exciting like news stories, disasters that happened in building document intelligence at Azure. And then you'll get to earn a badge that you can put on your LinkedIn profile from Microsoft at the same time. So I think that'll be fun. And so that, like I said, the deadline for getting that badge is the 1st of November. So sometime next week, we have our bot building workshop happening live in DC on Monday. I think on Tuesday, maybe we're going to do that session because a bunch of us will already be in DC and I'm doing my keynote anyway. So I think it'd be great for us to just hop on a call and it'll probably be a 2-hour session where we just go through all of the document intelligence concepts and build it's 100% accuracy, taking a PDF or a physical document, even with handwriting on it, and getting it digitized. And if you're in the government or a nonprofit or healthcare, all of them really have, all of them have really, like every one of these industries have a lot of paperwork that they're still dealing with. So in the world that I see, that Mark, you're talking about the vision of the world where like some of these organizations are so like they haven't even really digitized yet. So I think this could be an interesting skill that we can acquire and then go help smaller companies tackle. So that's it for me. Great to see you all. I'm gonna stop sharing. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a crazy couple weeks because we have lots of content. So the AI Solutions Architect class starts next Monday. Starts Monday. Starts on Monday. Tuesday, Wednesday, we're doing a virtual bot builder. Monday following on the 28th, we're going to be doing a live bot builder in DC. And then I feel like something else. Oh, and then we're going to do the Azure AI Skills Challenge. Like, I mean, I have a lot of fun doing this stuff. I hope you have fun too. All right. Well, I'm gonna head home tomorrow. No, yeah. What's today? Saturday. So I'm in Saturday. Hello from the future. I'll head home tomorrow, but I'll see some of you on Monday, and hopefully in the Bot Builder Challenge. Thanks for being here. Thanks for coming on camera, you guys. It's always so much nicer when I'm talking to real people. So have a great weekend. Enjoy your day and go save the world with artificial intelligence. Bye, everyone. Thanks, Mauricio. See you later. See you soon. Oh, I can't hear you,
Bye.
Marcio. You're muted. Bye, Monique. Thank you. Oh, I can't hear you. Why can't I hear you? Did I mute you?
Well,
Hold on. Oh,
because
there.
I
There we
no, because I'm talking to the mute. Yeah,
Go ahead.
aren't you staying in Australia for a week for
No, I leave
tourists?
tomorrow.
Oh my God, I thought you were going to stay a few more days or something.
Oh no, well, today is my day. Like yesterday, I worked in the morning, so we had yesterday afternoon to just kind of enjoy ourselves, and then today is our whole day of just like sightseeing, and we've been here before, so we've seen a lot of the sites already. But we're going to the zoo today
In what city?
in Sydney.
Oh, beautiful. Okay,
Yes,
well, I
yes,
hope you
yes.
have oh, and it's just the beginning of your day, isn't it? Or
Yeah,
are
it's
you
like
gonna?
8:30 in the morning. Yes, exactly. My husband's still sleeping, so I'm in the like cafe having breakfast, and then I'll stay and eat. He's not a breakfast person, so I'll eat breakfast. I did fix the website thanks to your feedback. I don't know if you noticed, but I did go into the
Okay, I'm
I love
glad.
AI.
Yeah.
I added your
And
your
I saw
suggestion.
I saw you're doing your pitch too for the yeah.
Yes,
Uh,
yes, it's great. I'm getting
um.
I'm getting it.
So it is Saturday.
It is Saturday. Yes, I'm calling
Yeah,
you from the
that's
future.
wild. That's all right. So I hope you have and your flight is tomorrow then.
Yes, on Sunday, which would be Saturday for you.
Yes, yes. And then you arrive 1 day early. I mean, there is all these.
Yeah, and I arrived the same day, so I like fly back in time.
There we go.
Yeah, and
So
then I'll be in
Noel,
DC on Monday. So
but I'm glad that you're kind of energetic. You're not feeling tired right
no,
now
no,
or
no,
anything.
no, no, not yet. We'll see. What I mean, we have a couple weeks of very intense work, so I might get tired, but right now, no.
Well,
Maybe you're
I
going to
hope you
feel
have a
it later.
fantastic day. Yeah.
Yes. What was that, Sandrine?
I was saying maybe you're going to feel the tiredness later. That's what I was
Yeah.
saying.
Oh, 100%. I mean, granted, I fall asleep at like 7:30 at night.
Yeah, you don't know.
So
Your
when I
body doesn't know.
yeah. So when I get up, I wake up at like 3 in the morning, but I went to bed at like 7 p.m. So it's not like yeah, it's very
Gotcha.
normal.
Gotcha. So I wish you a
Carolina,
fantastic
good to see
day.
you. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you very much. I'll see you when I come back to the States, and yeah, we'll see. We'll talk on Monday.
I met Rick. Is it Cowley? Rick
Yeah,
Macaulay.
Macaulay. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Good.
It was amazing because I was behind him to ask him a question at the TechMark conference, and then somebody else, a professor from FIU, was asking him, um, "How can I get to know AI better?" And I was standing behind him, and his response to her was, "Hey, there is a local person in Noel Russell. You should you should contact her." It was amazing to hear that. So.
Oh my gosh. So to tell you something similar, I did my keynote, and then the next day or on Friday, no, yeah, it was on Friday, someone came up to me and they said they didn't know me, and they're like, "Oh, I heard at dinner last night everyone at the table was talking about this person Noel, and then I found out I'm attending your session today." And I was like, "What dinner was this? Like, who's
Yeah.
talking about me?" So it was really good. It was good, like promoting the brand.
Yeah, I mean, it was very interesting to see, and then I got to meet Rick personally because we met
Yeah, that's great. He's one of our
through this,
OG
but
OGs. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Especially as we get we start. So remember Jose at
yes,
the
at the
yeah, yeah.
Miami Dade College. Yeah,
Yeah, so we should totally, when I get back, we should figure out when we want to just do our next event and call him up
okay,
and just do it at Wilson.
yeah,
I don't like
because
Wilson because it's
Gabriel as well, right? Gabriel,
100% Gabrielle.
say
Yeah, I mean we have
they
300 members actually.
they're the kind that are using the tools every day and getting into the inner details
Yes,
of
yes, yes. I'm gonna see if I can find the
different
meetup group.
tools.
I don't know if I shared it with you. There we go. So, oh dear, that's not the right
Are
one.
are
It's
you
gonna
are
make me
you
send it.
Tuesday in Miami? I mean, in South Florida, are you gonna be Tuesday?
No.
Because
Oh, for
GPT
GPT
Tuesdays,
Tuesdays? Yes.
Stephen Column is gonna be the presenter.
I know. No, I will be unfortunately, I will be on my way to Rhode Island for an event. So, oh
Okay.
well, what can I do?
Yeah, I saw it. I'm like, okay, it's just let's go meet Steve there at Miami Dade College in downtown, the same one that we
Yes.
went.
I'm trying to find, okay, let me see. Meetup facebook.com/, I think it's called, oh, you know what? Oh, there it is. I found it. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to send you this link in the chat really quick so you can go see it. You're in this picture, I think,
Okay.
and Stephen Pullum are in this picture.
Ah,
Here we go, chats. But this is the user group we have. I mean, we were averaging 60 to 70 people per meeting before we became homeless. So you could take a look at it.
yes.
Yeah, so I put our virtual sessions up there, but we were meeting in person for Pi and AI, and it was very, very fun. So I'd love to kick that back up, and now that we have a home, potentially at Wolfson, but also potentially at FAU. So
I found a place that is closer to our home.
nice.
And it will be a lot more convenient, I think. And that is at Nova on the fifth
Oh
floor
yeah.
of the Levin or Levine Center. And I had the woman is gonna contact me, the lady that runs the schedule is gonna contact me with prices and stuff. But the site, top of the line, very good for meetings. Is kind of a technology center or something of sorts.
Great.
And
Let's go.
I mean,
So if
for me, it
anyone's
was
in the,
only, for me,
yes,
it
if
was
anyone's in
25
Miami,
minutes. For me, 25 minutes. For you, it's gonna be 10 minutes out of Weston because
yeah,
it's
no,
just
I love Nova.
595 to David Road, just ahead
Amazing.
of University Drive, David Road to the right.
100%. Yeah. So if we can get them to commit, like, let's go. But yeah, so if anyone's in South Florida, they can come and meet us in person. It'll be amazing. Carolina, it's so good to see you. Yeah, we're ending now, but hopefully you'll see us next week. We're always meet at the same time at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So hopefully we'll see you next time as well. But thanks for staying longer, Mauricio. Great to talk
Okay.
about. And
Great to
when
see
I
you,
get
Anna.
back, we'll talk about like actually getting something on the schedule, a time. I like Jose said we need to do it during the week, so we'll need to figure out what that is. Maybe we do this live. You know what I mean? Like we make the 4 o'clock session, we do it live at Miami-Dade every Friday. That
For
could be
example.
cool. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's think
For
about
example. And it doesn't have to be Miami 4 p.m. Traffic, as
Oh my
we
gosh,
mentioned.
yes,
It's
you're right. You're right.
there are some places close to Weston that have space, that have the facility. Unless you have a large garage.
Well, I mean, I do have a place in Weston. You know, like my community, I have a community room that I could use. So that's an option.
That's an
But
idea.
I don't know if I
mean,
want to force
'cause-
people to drive all the way to me. That seems,
well,
but that'd be awesome because I could just walk there.
I mean, I'm speaking out of convenience. For me,
Of
it's a
course.
10-minute drive, right? But
That's right.
anyway, that's
Maybe
an
we
idea.
should try it. Yeah, we should try it. Maybe that we see how people feel coming, because then we could do that like we wouldn't be homeless at all. I just was worried people wouldn't want to drive all the way to Weston to come and see.
It will say,
But I drive to
there's
Miami
quite
for
a number of
everything.
people in the area that
I agree.
will be convenient.
Yeah.
Anyway,
All
we'll
right.
talk more
Let's
about
do
that.
it.
Okay.
Okay.
Have a
Sounds
good
good.
one.
All right. You too.
Bye,
Have a
Carolina.
great weekend. Bye, Carolina.
Okay.
Talk to you all later. Okay.